saying why this impeachment might not matter.
Right.
For those who haven't read it, why mightn't it?
Well, because this is sort of a weak impeachment. We've taken impeachment now and turned it into a campaign tactic. If you think about, I've lived through 3 impeachments now, professionally, in my lifetime. And in all the other 3, whatever you thought about the decision, there was an agreed upon incident that did take place.
The set of facts
right.
were established.
Right. Bill Clinton had an affair with an intern. Donald Trump made a phone call and threatened to withhold funds.
You called it perfect.
Right. And Donald Trump gave a speech on the ellipse that called for these folks to march in the Capitol and all these. Everybody agreed. The disagreement was whether it rose to the political death penalty. This is the first impeachment where we're just throwing it around, and the Republicans can't agree on what it is about Joe Biden that is impeachable here. Now, of course, you've laid it off pretty well. What's impeachable? Whatever a majority in the House thinks it is. That's the rule, whether you like it or not. And it is pretty clear to me that this is really driven simply by Donald Trump, who's trying to blur his own resume.
If Donald Trump didn't have 2 impeachments, would Joe Biden be facing this impeachment inquiry?
Of course not. Not at all. Frankly, if Donald Trump only had 1 of them, I don't know if he faces it, to be honest. And I'm going to answer a question I think you were going to ask earlier, which is, I really think this impeachment is simply designed to be a distraction from the trials in the spring, because the timing of this, you're sitting there going, well, this makes no sense unless it does make sense. And you realize, oh, a Senate trial that will get dismissed in a day will at least distract for a day from Trump, and that's all Trump cares about.
Well, and I covered the 2019 impeachment, and Democrats were so keen to try to get that done before the real start of the 2020 political season. This is the opposite of that, and this is how much can you draw it out. You were nodding along when Ryan was talking about how do they get out of this if it's not an acquittal. I'm obsessed with that question. I mean, how do you get off this train once you start down?
They can't, because Donald Trump won't let them.
Do you think it's because Donald Trump won't let them, or
Correct.
because they fear what their own voters... Well, functionally, it's the same thing,
I was just going to say, that's what I mean.
What their voters will do to them if they somehow do anything that looks like an acquittal.
Yeah, well, we didn't find enough. Or, what do you mean? This is what's wrong with the Republican Party. You're weak, right? You could just picture what Trump would say. The constituents would echo it, right? His base. And that's... So they've set themselves up here. They can't, they can't get out of it. So they're literally damned if they do, damned if they don't. I don't think it's going to end up... This is why I think it's going to end up being meaningless. I think it's going to get lost in reality. I think most people aren't paying attention. They're like, oh, yeah, it's just an impeachment. It's just... This is the equivalent if Democrats had decided to impeach Trump over the emoluments clause.
Right,
and that he was in the hotel. Okay, it's a technical violation, but it's ticky-tack. I don't even know if this even rises to that.
Let me challenge your thesis. What if it matters, but in a different way than we think? What if Hunter Biden testifies and he's compelling and sympathetic figure, and Joe Biden can come out and say, if you've got the votes, go ahead. Let's vote for my impeachment. Go ahead. I dare. Put it on the floor. Is there room in this White House that deft to turn this around? I don't
think there's any downside to any of the theatrics that come with impeachment for the Biden campaign. In fact, this is what I think makes this an absolute... This is proof to me that way too many people live in way too many of their own information bubbles. If all you do is watch one cable channel and listen to one set of algorithms of what you get on your news feed, you think it's perfectly... Of course you're going to do this. In fact, it would be ridiculous if you didn't impeach. I mean, my goodness, they have been... This information ecosystem has claimed all sorts of nefarious things. So by not doing it, it kind of looks absurd. So I do think we're in this. They don't realize how ridiculous this looks to mainstream America.